based. If you don't have those two things, you can't have a real dynamic healthcare system. You also have to have people involved in their healthcare. There has to be some picking and choosing. They have to have some skin in the game. Nothing is free. Nothing.
Yeah, right.
Nothing is free. There's nothing free. And when you're talking about a physician who's doing a cardiac open chest, doing a bypass surgery, getting compensated $1,000, and then he has to turn around and look at their back for malpractice claims, something's got to give. The system is broken. And the problem has been the federal government's involvement in it. It has. It's reimbursement rate. Hold on. He had one more question about corporate entities. They can't give unlimited amounts to campaigns. They can give it in independent expenditures, but they can't give it to candidates.
But it winds up in the same place, doesn't it?
But once again, it's nah. You could push and choose, but once again, what did the labor unions do? Labor unions have that ability and have had for quite some time. It's not right. It's not right. And we can debate the fair and equity that we see in Arizona, with the marketplace, about consumer-based elections. Yes.
Hi, I'm John Mitchell. I live here in Sedona.
Hi, John.
I wanted to commend you for a couple of votes you made. I did a search on your record, and if I'm correct, you made 172 votes since you've been in. Is that fairly accurate?
I have no idea. I mean, the votes have been coming right and left.
Well, I appreciate all the work you're doing, especially the fact that I've read about what you have done, living in-house and trying to hold down expenses. That's a good form of leadership. In that same vein, I wanted to commend you for a couple of votes you made. One, attempting rather, and voting against funding Planned Parenthood Amendment 95, and also voting to repeal the health care bill. I think that's great. I'm glad you did that. But I do, as a conservative, I do have a few things that I wanted to ask you, and with all due respect, I'm looking at some of this and I wonder, what in the world are you thinking? And they were these. You voted yes on the budget bill, which essentially I understand the pie graph you got is very simplistic, but the fact of the matter is, this is a hit. This isn't real cut, and by the time you figure all these amendments and so forth you're trying to do, in essence it's going to amount to nothing. We haven't accomplished anything. Secondly, you voted yes on H.R. 514, an extension of the Patriot Act. The Nazi-istic tactics that you're using in that is frightening, and having our federal government become a Gestapo in the manner in which they are is beyond belief. Furthermore, you voted to continue funding for the military out of H.R. 1363. If one of our biggest pie sections up there is the military, why aren't we guarding our borders and getting out of all this international hegemony we seem to want to do? That seems to lend itself to the removal of the maniac we've got in there now in his administration. You can't do the right thing, and then you voted to not to remove the troops from Afghanistan. We're getting our boys killed for nothing. I was in Vietnam, all right? I know what a waste that was. I saw a lot of those boys coming home dead, and I was in there. It's reprehensible, and I know for a fact that a number of the what I consider criminals in the administration when Johnson was in there were getting fat and wealthy off us being killed, and because they were getting large returns on their contracts. It's obscene. And I appreciate the fact that you example in wanting to cut your costs while you're living there. But you know something that occurred to me, a real leader, and might be something you want to take back to Washington. These schmucks we have up there, they need to lead by example and cut their own salaries first. Yeah. Everybody who's on Social Security, I paid in 7.5% of my income for 37 years to collect a retirement. All right? And you know what? I haven't gotten a raise in 4 years. It was supposed to be factored in because of all the money I put into it. But it's absurd. And I understand your frustration, but I find myself thinking, why aren't some of you guys up there filibustering some of this nonsense? It's just obscene. And these people, they're crazy. They need to be taken out in straitjackets.
Well, we better go through those questions one by one. So I think the first one you said about was with health care. There is an amendment right now. There's a question about the constitutionality of that health care bill. Whether you sit on one side or the other. What should be nice is that how about we don't do anything and fund anything until you actually have the application as to whether it's constitutional. Yep. There's 2 tracks going. You have a fast track. As of Wednesday, arguments were due, in which Monday we were supposed to hear. We did not hear. And what that could mean is that we could hear a fast track aspect of whether the constitutionality of this health care bill. Otherwise, it has to be satisfied by June of 2012. Point blank. I will tell you right now, it's not about health care. It's about the freedoms. Particularly, it's about the freedoms. Okay? Now, let's go back to the Patriot Act. I'm one of the few that actually did my homework. And I'm glad somebody was asking. I actually asked for a DOJ review, which a member of Congress is entitled to, as well as an FBI review. I actually did a law review in looking for all the cases. In the 3 amendments that we were talking about that were up for review, there were 3 lawsuits filed, 2 by the ACLU and 1 by an independent person. All 3 were dropped, never went successfully forward. So whether we don't like it or like it, it doesn't feel comfortable to me either. But the constitutionality is still in question. What has happened there is that I am not entitled just to that privy information. You are. And so the 90-day extension comes with a provision, is that we will have hearings so you can hear what those provisions are all about, and you make your mind up. That's why I voted the way I did. I still, to this day, have not received my DOJ background and my FBI background, and I've raised my voice twice. I'm just trying to tell you, that's how dysfunctional it is. Okay? Now, I got those 2. Let's go to the next one. Cutting the military. I did cut the military. I actually cut the second engine. There was a number of things that we did in the original CR to cut the military. To take our boys out of the military has to be an orchestration by the military. And there's a lot of people that are going to be asking for it, but not in the way that Dennis Kucinich asked for. Point blank, in an organized fashion and making sure that we uphold our head coming out of their right. What was the next question?
Well, I'm not talking about just Iraq or Afghanistan. We're everywhere.
Oh.
We are not the world's greatest.
I understand.
We aren't even protecting our own borders. It's obscene.
Well, we're not even talking about it.
Well, we talk about health care, and we're giving a large portion of our tax, or rather borrowed money, to support illegals. What is that about?
Well, I'm trying to go back to each of your questions. So the